If you're looking for the rest of the videos in this series, please go to eliithecomputerguy.com to see my full catalog of videos. Welcome back. So one of the coolest projects you can do with Arduinos is creating autonomous vehicles and remotely controlled vehicles. No matter how old you are, right now I'm 42, it's still really cool to build little vehicles. Right? Doesn't matter what age you are, whether you're 5 years old or 45 years old, playing with little toy cars is always really cool. Now, one of the important things that you have to remember whenever you're dealing with Arduino projects is that you get to build the Arduino projects out of almost anything that you want. So it's important to understand when you're dealing with Arduino, it's not like Legos, right? If you go out and you build something with Legos or let's say erector sets, then they give you exactly what you need in order to build whatever project it is that you're going to be creating. When you go out to create Arduino projects, and especially with Arduino vehicles, the important thing to understand is that you have a whole smorgasbord of different vehicle platforms you can use in order to build your vehicles, and all of these different vehicle platforms have their benefits and have their downsides. So you have teeny tiny little vehicle platforms like this from DF Robot that are really cool because they're really small and they're really agile and they can do a lot of cool stuff. But they're also teeny tiny and literally it's they're almost too small to even put a standard Arduino Uno board on, much less if you want to put a whole array of sensors. You can go with something like this. This is a larger vehicle platform. The issue with this, though, is that this is going to burn through a lot of electricity. So if you're using batteries in order to move this thing around, this is going to drain your batteries much faster than something that's a little bit smaller. So when you're going to start thinking about creating your Arduino vehicle projects, it is important that you give a real consideration to the vehicle platform that you will be using because there are upsides and downsides to all of these different platforms, and there are just a ton of them out there. So I'm going to show you 4 different vehicle platforms that I've personally used today, and I will give you the benefits and the drawbacks of these platforms. So with that, let's go over to the workbench so I can give you a little bit closer look at these different vehicle platforms. So this is a rather standard 4-wheel drive vehicle platform. This one in particular comes from SaneSmart, but there's a whole ton of clones that more or less look and operate exactly like this platform. So with this, you can see you've got four electric motors in here. They're connected to 4 very large tires, and this platform itself is nice and large. So this is the size of the Arduino board. So obviously with something of this size, you can put a whole bunch of different sensors on here. You can put a whole bunch of different boards. And so when you have something of this size, you are not going to find any issues with space. You can put almost anything you want onto this. So the good part about it is this gives you a whole bunch of space. The other nice part is since it has 4 motors and it has these nice big tires, this can get over most types of terrain. Now it may seem a little funny, but honestly, when you're in your house, if you have something like shag carpeting can be difficult for some of these vehicle platforms. So having a vehicle platform with these types of tires, with these 4 relatively strong motors, this will be able to get over most obstacles or most things within your environment. The downside, though, is with these very large, thick tires and these motors, is it is going to drain your batteries very quickly. So with these Arduino projects, one of the cool things is, even with the little vehicles, you can use something like a 9-volt battery to charge the entire project. So the Arduino board, everything else. The issue is if you're going to use a vehicle like this, you are going to drain those batteries within maybe 10 minutes. Now, if you're using something like rechargeable, like lithium-ion batteries, so I like using these little rechargeable battery packs, that's not necessarily a big deal. One of the issues I ran into is when I first started with these projects, I would use the batteries, I think it's the AA batteries that they told you to use. So like with this particular kit, it actually comes with a little battery holder, battery connector that allows you to connect 6 AA batteries. It powers this platform very nicely, but you literally run through 6 AA batteries in about 10 minutes. So if you're not expecting it and if you're not thinking about it, using a platform like this can get very expensive very quickly if you're using standard acid type batteries, again, like 9-volt batteries, AA batteries, something like that, because again, it just drains so much electricity. So the benefit of a platform like this is that it can go over most terrain you're going to get in like residential and normal environments. It's very, very powerful. You're not going to have any issues, but it's going to drain electricity very quickly. So then you go over and you take a look at something like this. So this is really nice, and this is nice and small, very, very maneuverable, and does not burn electricity as quickly. Again, if you look at the motors on here, so you can see these teeny tiny motors. So look at those teeny tiny motors compared to the motors and gearboxes in the larger one. So this doesn't burn nearly as much electricity. The other nice part is what this has is this has 2 wheels, and then it basically has ball bearings. So what this allows is again, for it to be very, 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 very maneuverable. The good part about this is it doesn't run through electricity nearly as quickly and is incredibly agile, so depending on what you're doing. So if you're going to be doing something like you want to create projects on the tabletop, so let's say you want to start teaching classes for, let's say, a church group or a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout group or something like that, and you want to be able to create vehicles that'll move around and do things, but you want them confined to a tabletop, then something of this size might be very good for you. The issue they're going to run into, though, is simply the fact that it's a small size. So again, this is a standard Arduino board. These are the holes I put, the screw things I put for the standard Arduino board. And so what you can tell is you put a standard Arduino board on this little platform and you're already starting to run out of space. If you want to put multiple sensors, if you want to put different things on this particular platform, you're going to have issues. Again, even something like a battery. So again, I normally power my vehicles with low rechargeable battery packs. So this is a standard one that I use. And I mean, you literally, no, seriously. I mean, one of the issues you get into is literally where do you even put a battery on something like this? So this is cool because it won't go through as much electricity, doesn't need as much power, very flexible, but it is obviously very small. Then you can go to something like this. So this is kind of a hybrid. This is kind of a hybrid between that large vehicle and that small vehicle. So you'll notice it has 2 wheels. And then on the bottom, where the third wheel would go, is just this kind of nub here. So it's not a wheel, it's not a ball bearing, it's just kind of a nub. So the good part about this is you're only powering 2 wheels, so you don't burn as much electricity as with the larger one. And it's a nice large platform. Again, you take an Arduino board, you put it here, you put your batteries, you can put a whole bunch of stuff on here, and you can create a pretty good vehicle. Get lots of sensors, everything else. One of the issues, though, one of the downsides with this that you have to think about is this little nub. Now, if you're going to be running this on a linoleum floor, if you're going to be running this, again, on something like a table, then this little nub won't matter. Again, it won't mar up the table, it won't mar up your linoleum floor, but basically you need something smooth to run it on. To be clear, this little nub, if you put this on any kind of carpet, it's essentially going to end up being an anchor, and it's not going to be able to move anywhere, or it's going to have a very difficult time moving anywhere. So that's something to think about there with this particular one. This is a very good all-around platform in a lot of ways. You just have to realize you can't use it on carpet, and really anywhere that this nub may catch, you may run into problems. Again, even something like a hardwood floor. So if you have hardwood floors that have bumps or little spaces, little gaps between the boards, anything that might catch this will cause you issues for your project. So that's something to think about. The model of platform that I prefer, and again, just to be clear, when I say I prefer it, there's those, and here's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. So when I say that I like this particular platform, yeah, I got a lot of them. But this actually comes from Feedtech, Feetch. And again, I like it a lot. One of the things I like about this particular platform is that it comes with not just the frame, but it also comes with the motors for the wheels, it comes with the wheels, and it comes with this controller. So this controller is a little bit special compared to other controllers. So normally if you're going to be moving a vehicle around, you'll use either a motor module, again this is a pretty large size, or a motor shield. What's kind of cool here is this tiny little module here turns your motors into what are called continuous servo motors. So basically, it makes these motors seem to the Arduino board as if they're continuous servo motors. What it allows is it allows for a little bit more precision when I'm controlling the motors. And one of the things that I like is that this particular module is very small. Again, even a motor module, which is relatively small, is this size. If you look at this, you've just got this tiny little module here. So one of the things I like about this platform is you get the wheels, you get this the servo, continuous servo motor module, you get the wheels, you get the platform, you get the whole 9 yards. And so with this, what you see is you have a double-decker configuration. So that is something useful. So basically with this, what you can do is you can put the Arduino board on top. Again, the controller for the motors is on the bottom, and when I want to power this, I just take one of my little batteries and literally shove it in here. From this point, I can put sensors on the front, I can put some sensors on the side if I want to. Depending on how I have the battery, I can even put sensors on the back. It's a little bit small. I mean, to be clear, let's be frank. I mean, it's not this. Right? If you take a look at it, it is definitely smaller than this large platform. But the nice part is this gives me a size that allows me to do everything that I want it to do. And one of the things that I like about it too is that these motors really don't drain very much electricity. Again, you can see that they're relatively small. So a single battery pack like this will actually be able to power this thing for a little while. Now, one of the downsides though, there is a downside to this particular model. If you buy the 3-wheel model, is that you have this, what is called a caster wheel in the front. Now, what's curious about this caster wheel is what's supposed to happen is when you move forward, it goes to this position, and then when you move backwards, it goes to this position, and then when you turn, it's supposed to move. Now, what I'll say is, as with everything with technology, it's supposed to very, very, very easily move. One of the issues that you do run into sometimes is if there's not enough pressure on the caster wheel, even if it's going in a straight direction, sometimes this caster wheel will be a little bit off. And then what happens there is then that starts acting like a rudder as far as this vehicle is concerned. And so, especially if you're trying to do any fine motor work, or if you need the vehicle to go straight. So let's say you want a vehicle that literally will go straight and then will take a hard left or a hard right. This may not be for you because a lot of times, again, the caster wheel, even if it's a little bit off, that starts pushing the vehicle in one direction or the other, and so you can run into some problems. What I personally do, since I do own so many of these particular models, is if I need a vehicle to be more precise, I actually just make this a 4-wheel platform, and I put the motors and another set of wheels in the front with another controller, and then I'll make it a 4-wheel platform. But this is one of those things that you have to be thinking about. So like with this, this 3-wheel thing, you have the caster that can end up being a rudder as far as your vehicle is concerned. Whereas again, with this particular model, you have this little nub, which will then grip into carpet and cause you problems. So those are the types of little things that you need to be thinking about with your vehicle. It seems very simple, right? When you think about it, it's like, okay, I need a way to control the motors. I need the wheels, I need the Arduino, and then I write the code. But again, depending on what you're doing, if your vehicle starts veering off in one direction or the other, that may end up causing you a lot of problems. The same is true with electricity consumption and all of that. So these are just some of the different platforms that are available, and just some things to be thinking about when you create your Arduino vehicle. So those are some things to be thinking about when you go to build your Arduino vehicle project. Again, things to be thinking about is the electricity consumption, what type of terrain the vehicle can go over. Again, something like this is great. This can go over grass, this can go on sand, this can go on most, reasonable environments. Let's not be ridiculous. But the issue that you're going to be running into is it's just going to burn through batteries. Where again, something like this is really cool because it doesn't require very much electricity. It is very, very agile, but the entire thing is about the size of Arduino board. So really, you got to be thinking about it. If you want to put 4 or 5 or 10 sensors onto your Arduino vehicle, this isn't going to be the one for you. Again, even the one that I prefer, this particular, this one's from VTech. I like it for a lot of things, but one of the issues that you run into is that this caster wheel, it does. Most of the time, when it's going straight, for whatever the reason, the caster wheel isn't specifically straight, and so it'll start pushing or pulling in one direction or the other. And so these are some of those things that you have to be thinking about when you're going to go out and build your Arduino vehicle project. Now, when you're looking at price of these things, they're all, again, for the whole platform, with the wheels, with the motors, all of that, you're looking generally somewhere between, I would say, about $15 to $40. Now, that's the important thing to be thinking about, is whenever you're going to create a vehicle, is you need the frame. You need the frame, so everything's going to attach to it. You need the motors of some sort. You need the wheels of some sort, and then you're going to need how you're actually going to control the motors. Again, that's what I like with VTech. It comes with this particular controller. You may need a motor module, or you may need a motor shield, depending on what you're doing. So that's something to be thinking about. But if you look at it as far as price is concerned, with these VTechs here, I get them from Amazon.com. There's different people who sell them, different sellers. Generally, this costs me between $17 to $20 a piece for everything included. Again, basically depending on the day and the availability. Now, if you look at something like this is actually from DF Robot. They gave this to me as a sample unit, and I recall this cost $35. Now, it's important to understand, so this comes with the frame, this comes with the motors, this comes with the wheels, but it doesn't come with a controller. It doesn't come with a motor module or a motor shield or the servo thing. So if you purchase this, it's $35 plus however you're going to drive the motors. This is a nice little frame here. I got this from Micro Center, so that's a local computer shop that has a lot of these things. This I think I purchased for $20. So with that, you get the 2 motors, the 2 wheels, you get the frame. Again, you also do not get the motor module or the motor shield. Something to think about there. This is from Sane Smart. I think I also purchased this from Micro Center. And as I recall, this came in a kit. It cost about $50. I was not the happiest for it. But basically, with this particular kit, this actually came with everything. So it came with the 4-wheel drive vehicle. It came with the motor module. It came with a Sane Smart Mega board. It came with a ultrasonic proximity detector, and it came with a few other things. So with this, basically, you got this as a full package. You were supposed to just assemble it, put it together. The one warning, I'm a little nervous when I say this. One warning that I will give you whenever you buy full kits for things like Arduino is that many times when you buy the full kit, you don't get everything included, and the instructions are really horrible, and you get really frustrated and kind of want to throw it through the wall. So again, I did buy, this is a Sane Smart that I purchased with my own money. My kit, I bought it as a kit, a year and a half ago when I was first learning about Arduino, and it was incredibly frustrating. The instructions were garbage. I don't think all the parts were included. Even when you went to look for the documentation that they had wasn't for this particular vehicle. Literally, you would go and you would look at the documentation for what you think you bought, and it would be really cool. It just wasn't this. So that is something to be careful about if you buy a vehicle kit, is you may not get everything that you're supposed to get, and the very easy, family-friendly, child-friendly instructions may not be nearly as easy as you think. So overall, this ended up being a good value because all of the components together was worth more than I paid for it. The actual vehicle project itself was a bit of a nightmare. So anyways, those are some of the things to be thinking about with these vehicle platforms. A lot of people, when they go into Arduino, one of the reasons they go into Arduino is to save money. The nice thing with Arduino is that it is relatively low cost, but this is one of those situations where if you're going to be dealing with Arduino projects, it would be wise to budget for multiple different vehicle types. Again, this is the vehicle type that I normally use, but depending on what I'm doing, it's nice having this one, and it's nice having this one, and it's nice having this one, and it's nice being able to use these different vehicle platforms to see how the vehicle will function in different ways, be able to add sensors, so on and so forth. So those are some considerations for when you're looking to go out there and build your own Arduino project. As always, it was enjoyable to do this video, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Please go to elithecomputerguy.com and failednormal.com to see the videos that are too dangerous for YouTube.